Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Now that my two obligatory informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. And I had to aware myself, and subscribers, you guys are slipping here. You guys are supposed to be the ones awareing me of this stuff. I was just looking through stuff this morning and I saw that yesterday B-Shred updated his back situation. Nobody told me, I had to find it myself. You guys are fired. So let me go ahead and put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing. Work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. All right, it really shouldn't be a funny matter talking about a back injury, but in this case, with V-Shrunk, I almost have to, and you guys know why. And here's why. Here it comes. Those who follow my comments regularly for the past few months, Vince has a 3mm disc bulge between his L4 and his L5. Now, people who watch the comments, y'all are laughing because here it comes. Everyone's been talking about for months that Chris Jones, my boy Chris Jones, has a 5mm bulge between his L4 and his L5. The exact same spot, 5mm instead of 3mm. So Vince, man, Chris Jones got a bigger bulge than you. But I feel your pain, my white brother. I feel your pain, man. All right, joking about bulge sizes aside, but seriously, Vince, man, those are rookie numbers, bro. Chris Jones got you beat there. I mean, 5mm versus 3mm. I mean, that means his bulge is over 50% larger than yours. Like, you know why that is? It's because you haven't loaded any weight on yourself. That's the problem, man. But joking about that aside, this is kind of a big deal. You know, how many fitness YouTubers do we see out here with all these back problems, bulging disc, all these herniations? There's been quite a few at this point, and you got to wonder, what are all these guys doing wrong? Because then you see guys like me, older than all of them. You guys see me do rep work with over 500 pounds on the deadlift, beltless. Even now, I mean, you guys have seen me pull, what, 575 this year at the age of 41? I don't have any back pain, don't have any back problems. You know, it's what people need to start thinking about. What are these guys doing in their training to where this is happening? You know, you've got to wonder. And a lot of this comes down to, I tell people stuff like touch and go deadlifts. You know, touch and go deadlifts. I mean, you want to really damage your back over time, do touch and go deadlifts. I don't care if there's a few powerlifting coaches who tell you to do that, you know. What I mean by touch and go, you don't fully reset and set the weight completely on the ground and reset it on every rep. In other words, ideal world, I'd like to see at least 1 second with the bar on the floor before you pull again when you're doing rep work, right? So you need to be able to count at least 1,000. And you know what, 2 or 3 seconds is perfectly fine. Again, resetting yourself, re-pulling all your back tight again. There's no jarring happening on your back. I think touch and go deadlifts. I think the deadlift is one of the greatest exercises ever, possibly the greatest and most valuable exercise of all time. However, you have to treat it with respect, don't you? You got to treat it with respect because it is a very, very potent exercise. I mean, you're moving a lot of weight, moving from a dead stop. But the thing is, when you start not doing it from a dead stop, that's one of the things that will hurt you. You know, again, learning to pull the slack out of the bar correctly. Learning how to reset correctly on every rep. That's the stuff that you have to respect on the deadlift if you don't want to get hurt. It's an amazing exercise, and it can be done relatively risk-free. But you got to pay attention to it. You can't let your ego get the best of you on this exercise. Right? You've got to get that ego in check because torn biceps and herniated disc in your back will humble you. But in the case of Vince, he doesn't even deadlift heavy. He doesn't train heavy. And I think that's the problem. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. You know, and these are people, and like Vince is like considered to be a full-time fitness professional. I mean, when you have a guy who's a full-time fitness professional who appears to be in shape to the casual eye, I mean, a lot of people would look at him and say, he's in better shape than you, Jason. But yet he's beat up and busted up with herniated discs and stuff. And I'm a hell of a lot stronger, We're not even in the same ballpark. Again, not even remotely close. I'm not just like twice as strong as him. Yet here I am in my 40s without these problems, and this guy is supposedly in shape, and he's already beat up and busted up. People need to look at stuff like this and ask, you know, who in the hell am I really getting advice from? If I'm in this for the long game, okay, it's fine. You guys think he's got kind of that swimmer's body, and that's what you want. Okay, that's well and good, but there are other ways to get that physique that don't involve doing silly shit. There are ways you can get that physique relatively easy, because that's not a difficult physique to reach. That's mostly just dieting, right? Because you don't need large amounts of muscle mass to do that. So in other words, most people could get to that size in 6 months, a year in the gym. And at that point, it's just a matter of body composition, getting yourself nice and lean, right? That's what it comes down to. So to get that, basically that swimmer's body or athlete body that a lot of guys want, it really is that simple. And it shouldn't take a bunch of silliness and fluff exercises to get you there. And that's the problem. You know, when you do too much just fluff and no real training, you might look pretty good, but are you really in shape? I mean, is your core stable? Is your back protected? Have you built up, really and truly built up the strength of your entire core, your abdominals, your obliques, your spinal erectors? Right? Are these things properly built? Do you have sufficient hamstring strength and everything? All these things that you need to support your posterior chain and support your disc and your back and everything, are they really and truly built up? It's one thing to look athletic and maybe look the part. It's another thing to actually be athletic. And a person who is truly athletic really and truly shouldn't get back injuries and hurt themselves doing small things, minor things. You really shouldn't. There is a certain degree of protective element that comes with building a strength base through your entire body. Not just hitting a few smaller muscles because you know they're the ones that are going to make you look athletic, and kind of neglecting the go muscles. You know, all show, no go, show muscles versus go muscles. Neglecting those things is not going to put you in the situation to be truly fit. And being truly fit means being able to handle various situations without getting hurt. That's part of fitness, is my definition, is the ability to be physically active without getting hurt, barring doing a few silly, stupid-ass stunts. I mean, people, even some extremely strong athletes get hurt doing some silly show-off stuff. And that happens. But most injuries from day-to-day life can be avoided by simply being more athletic and more fit and actually having a true strength base in your body. And that's the difference. You got a guy like Vince, by most standards, by most modern standards that society holds, that's a guy who's real fit and in shape. But then he's already beat up and busted up from doing things even outside of training, little minor things. People need to think in terms of, what are you going to get in the long haul? Because that's a lot of what I always try to push here. You know, can you still be physically fit and active and injury-free in your 40s, in your 50s, maybe even in your 60s? And I think it goes to show that a lot of this fluff and pump training and other stuff that I call leapfrog and grab ass in the gym is not necessarily getting it done. You really need these big full body structural heavy exercises to build a base. They are essential for maintaining a base and building a body that is capable of withstanding the rigors of life. They're absolutely essential for that, and I don't think they can be replaced. And you see guys like Vince who don't focus on that stuff, and what happens? They get hurt. They get hurt. And again, when I'm talking about lifting heavy weight, I'm talking about within your abilities. I'm talking about lifting heavy weight correctly. I'm talking about building up gradually. I'm talking about keeping your ego in check. How about keeping your ego in check? Just like you guys watched me when I pulled 575 on camera this year, that wasn't my max. That was an easy rep. Anyone who watched it remembers, like, yeah, that looked easily like an opener. Exactly, because I'm training right now. I'm in training. I'm not here trying to hurt myself. I'm not trying to destroy myself. And to some people, that might sound like a lot of weight, but in the grand scheme of things, in a competitive environment, it's really not. 575 deadlift is not particularly impressive. And to a lot of people who've never strength trained, that would sound crazy. People who follow Vince, people who follow V-Shred would hear someone say something like that and be like, you're crazy. A 575 deadlift isn't particularly impressive. No, it really isn't. 500 deadlift is a strength base. A 400 squat is a strength base. That's not strength athlete. That's not power lifter numbers. That's having a strength base. That's something any healthy young man of average genetics could achieve in the gym in a few years. On a basic strength training program, not specializing in powerlifting. Right? You don't need a strength specialization program to reach those numbers. A basic, well-structured, well-rounded program will do that. And if you're not hitting those numbers with good form, it might be time to step back and question whose programs are you following? Are you really building a strong athletic body as a result of these programs? It's the sort of stuff you need to be asking yourself at that point. You know, do you want to have a 3mm bulge in your back already from picking up a box or something, moving your house in your 20s? Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.